Hello, everybody. So today we're going to go through how to use Assistant.to to schedule a meeting with one person, a meeting, a lunch date, a conference call, whatever you need to do. The important thing to remember about Assistant.to is that it only works one-to-one. Now, there are special cases where if you would like to schedule something maybe with another team, for instance, I schedule webinars for the company that I work for right now. And so when we schedule a webinar, we always do a practice run. Now that practice run is between me and the vendor, the people in charge of running the webinar. And so there are about 4 people on their team. They get their time together and then they shoot over to me the times that work for them, and I schedule it, and we schedule that way. So it's still one-to-one. It's like one to a group, but they already have their time set up. So I love Assistant.to. There is definitely other ways to schedule a meeting, as you guys read in the blog. There are other types of web-based apps that you can use, but Assistant.to has been great for me, especially because I use Gmail. That's another thing about Assistant.to. It does not currently work for other email interfaces. Now, let me make that clear. So when you're using Assistant.to to schedule a meeting with someone, you have to have Gmail. However, the end user does not have to have Gmail. They can have any type of email client that is out there. Okay. Now, if you're using Outlook, don't despair. Assistant.to is currently working on that. If you look here under the install now for Gmail, you see the use Outlook question mark. You go there, put in your email address, and select which app you're using now. So Outlook, Macmail, other, and submit. So they're working on it. It's just not there right now. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. We are going to schedule a lunch date, okay, an hour-long lunch date. So let's start from the very beginning. Assistant.to. We're going to go to, we can just put in Assistant.to. It'll take us there. But for all of you who do not trust that, you can do www.assistant.to, and it will bring you to where we are right now. Okay, so you need to install now for Gmail. When you click on install now, it's going to add it as a type of add-on for Google Chrome. However, it's not going to show up on your bar. Okay. Now, if you're using another type of browser, I don't know why you are, but if you're working with Gmail, the best browser to use is Google Chrome, because there are just so many other like web-based apps and add-ins and things that work well with Google Chrome and in turn work well with Gmail and your Google Drive and your calendar and things of that nature. So make sure you're in Google Chrome. I am not even sure if it works for other web browsers. Okay, so we're going to click install now for Gmail. And then it says, do you want to add it to Chrome? If you do, it'll read and change data in these places. Okay, so we're going to add that. So now we're going to go into our Gmail. And you can see that I've already played around with this before. If you're looking at my inbox, this is the test email that I set up with you guys on one of my last videos. We're going to keep using this going forward to show you how to use stuff in Gmail. We have a Gmail tips and tricks video coming up, and we'll be using the same exact email address. It just works well. However, like I said before, I wouldn't email me here. I don't have this set up like on my phone. Or I don't check it throughout the day. I only use it when I make videos for you guys. All right. So we set up Assistant.to. We added it to Chrome. So when we go to compose an email, this is how you're going to send your calendar invite. And my emails pop up over on the right. So if you select this arrow to stretch it, it'll bring it to a full screen. And this used to bother me all the time, this bar down here. If you selected the formatting options in a past email, a lot of times it'll pop up right away. It'll pop up the next time you open an email. And I used to wonder, how the heck do I get rid of this? And this is how. You just select the formatting options box down there, and it'll get rid of it for you. Okay, so who are we going to do a lunch date with? Let's set up a lunch date with ourselves. Makes it easier to show you guys the full range of process with Assistant.to, so you can see what we send, what the person receives, what happens after the person receives it and selects the time. It'll show you everything without having to show you just one side. Okay, so you'll see your experience and the end user experience. Okay, so the subject, lunch date. You have a lunch date with yourself. Okay, have you guys ever done lunch or dinner by yourself? It's actually something I just recently started doing, and it's like the best experience ever. I used to be so afraid. I digress. So, we're going to do a lunch date, and immediately we're going to go down here to this Assistant.to bar that they've selected. I love the look of it. I love the colors. It pops right out. The select times, this call to action button right here is excellent. It blends very well into Gmail. Doesn't look clunky. It's very small, and you can always minimize it by pressing on this gray arrow right here. See? And it just shows up in the corner. Let's pop that back out. Lunch is usually about an hour. The location, I always put you choose, so it stayed up here as like a default. I hate choosing places to go to lunch. I always want the person I'm going to lunch with to be completely comfortable. I can always find something on the menu. Now we're going to select times. Now, when you first use this, it'll bring up like some kind of tutorial that's easy to get out of, because I've used this before and I tested it. So you see over here, the demo lunch date is where I tested it at. Okay, so if this was my regular Gmail calendar, all these times and dates would be like completely full. Okay, but they're not, because this is just the demo calendar. So we have a lot of space and opportunity here in order to plan a lunch with somebody. So let's go to the top of this screen where it says Assistant.to, the title, Quinn and Quinn meeting, because I scheduled a lunch date with myself, right? So let's change the title. You can be as inconspicuous or out in the open as you would like to. Okay, so lunch date. Or you can just make it something general like busy. Especially if it's something you're doing with somebody else, like outside of work or whatever. You don't want people to really know what's going on. You can be very inconspicuous, but we're going to do lunch date. All right, so you choose the location. I'm going to edit that, and I'm going to say you choose, right? I don't want to have to deal with that. So we're going to set up a lunch date. It's already 11:48 Eastern time. Now that I mentioned Eastern time, let me show you how to change the time zones here. So you just click over on the left where it says EDT. Now, that's our time zone, so we don't really want to change that. But if you were, in Mountain Time or Central Time or whatever, you could select these, and it adjusts for the person who you're setting a date with. Now, that works well if you're doing a conference call, because you can be anywhere in the world and get on a conference call together. However, if you're doing a lunch date, I would like to hope that you're in the same time zone, unless you're in one of those weird areas where if you cross the street, you're in a different one. Where does that happen at, guys? Let me know in the comment box. I've heard something like that before. So we're going to keep it on Eastern time. Select OK. And we have on here that the meeting length will be 1 hour. The thing with Assistant.to is it makes it great. You do not have to go through and select 1 hour blocks throughout the day. You can just select the whole time period for which you're available, and it will break it down for the end user or the person receiving the invite. So we're going to do lunch tomorrow, Friday, Monday. Those are your opportunities to go to lunch, right? All the other days you're busy. Who does not know what it's like to be busy in the office? Raise your hand. None of you did, right? So we're available tomorrow between 12 and 2. I selected too much time there. We're available tomorrow between 12 and 2. Okay, so I'm actually available to meet from 12 to 2 on the 28th. And then we come over to Monday, and you see it appears. All right, so let's backspace. See, the 28th is over here on the end. We click over to get to Monday, and it's going to appear at the end. So we're actually available on Monday, because Monday is a bit slower of a day from like 11:45 to 2 o'clock. Okay, I just want to show you how Assistant.to breaks down the time slots for the end user. So we're going to insert these times into the email. Look at that. Now that error occurred because we did not take out the times that we weren't available. Okay, and that's important, as you can see. So the 27th, let's reset everything. That's how you get rid of the junk that's in here. Okay, so let's go back. Today's the 26th. We're not available for lunch today. We're available for lunch tomorrow. So we're going to do 12 to 2, 12 to 2, and then Monday, remember we're available a little earlier. So let's do 11:45 to 2:30. Enter times into email. Wonderful. So we see there was a quick fix there. We had, had something a little quirky happen. We went and we fixed it by pressing reset to take out the available times that were saved in there. So this is the email that the end users want to see, and you'll see that in a couple minutes or seconds, I hope. Okay, so we're going to make this a little personal. So we're just going to add to the email that they put in to say, hi, Quinn. Wanna do lunch? Click on the time to instantly schedule a lunch date with me, right? We will both receive calendar invites. See you soon, Quinn. Okay, so that's done. We're going to send that off. I'm going to delete these emails so they don't confuse you guys. Actually going to archive it. Now we're just waiting for the email to come through. Hi, Quinn. There it is. Want to do lunch? Click on the time so they get exactly what you sent. So they can select the time here, or they can say none of these times work for me. And if none of those times work, Assistant.to will basically get back to the email address that it was sent to and let them know. None of that works. But we see a couple times on here that work for me. But we're not going to select a couple times. We're going to select one time that works. Why are we going to do that? Because it automatically adds to the calendar. Assistant.to really cuts down on the back and forth that you deal with when trying to schedule meetings. There's no back and forth. You select one time. That time is in stone, but not really. You'll see why a little bit later. But it's not going to let you select 50 million different times that work for you. It's just going to select one, which works really well one-on-one. When you're dealing with a group, it can be a little different. And I'll show you another app that I use a little later for group planning. Okay, so we're going to select 12:30 to 1:30 on Friday, August 28th. That works for me. We're going to select that. And then, there we go. You're all set. You successfully scheduled a meeting. Be sure to check your email for a calendar invite with meeting details. So it says Quinn and Quinn, meeting, okay? And for some reason, it has me in Pacific time. I probably need to change the settings on my Gmail or computer clock. Okay, so 12:30 p.m. Eastern is for 1 hour on the 28th. And this is why I said it wasn't in stone. If it doesn't work, you can select a different time. Okay? And so we go back to our email by pressing the back to inbox button. And it lets us know you're all set. Okay? And then the second email, you're all set. So it sent it to the both of us that we're all set and ready to go. Wasn't that great? Now let me show you. Let me go over to our calendar. You guys know how to get to your calendar, right? Your Google Apps. Go up here on the right to where your email address is, and then you're going to toggle over to the 3x3 set of squares. Click on Google Apps, and then go to the 9th box, which is if you're counting across by 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's just, follow through on that. Select the calendar. You see the demo lunch in here. And then you see the lunch that we set up to 12:30 to 1. So it's showing up on the calendar. It's also going to show up on the other person's calendar. But it's just once because nobody needs to double book. Okay. And then an important thing to note is once it's Assistant.to is done its job. You can still go through and do the normal things that you would do when you set up an appointment in Gmail. You can change the times and click in and do all that other stuff that you would do. But Assistant.to has done its job, essentially. All right, we're all set. Thanks, guys.